Welcome to True Echo, where real courage meets unreal circumstances, where dignity defies danger, and silence is shattered by strength. Today's story isn't just about fists or fury. It's about presence, control, and what happens when the wrong people pick a fight with the right Marine. This is the story of Elijah McCall, and the gas station that would never forget his name. The Arizona sun didn't just shine that day, it punished. Elijah McCall's knuckles were white around the steering wheel as his Honda Accord rolled onto the cracked lot of a long-forgotten Shell station just off I-8. He'd been riding on fumes for the last 20 minutes, ignoring the low fuel light with the confidence of someone who had done tougher things on worse days. But even a Marine learns when to stop pushing. So here he was, sweat dripping down the back of his neck, compression tee soaked, khaki shorts sticking like glue to his thighs. He was parched, tired, and alone. But he was also still. There was nothing remarkable about the station. Faded signage, flickering, open, light, a convenience store that hadn't seen new inventory since VHS tapes were cool. But Elijah wasn't looking for charm. He needed gas, water, and 10 minutes of quiet. That's all. He moved with method, every motion calculated but casual. No one watching him would say he was nervous. But if anyone had really been watching, they'd have noticed the way his eyes swept every inch of that lot, subtle, practiced, alert. Inside the store, the air was stale. The clerk didn't look up. A kid near the cooler nodded with a glance, earbuds too loud to hear the world. Elijah grabbed water, a protein bar, and trail mix. Paid in cash. Thanked the woman who barely mumbled back. No warmth. No welcome. He didn't take it personally. Men like him, quiet, black, and muscular, knew when the chill in the air wasn't just about the AC. Back at his car, he leaned on the door and drank. He could hear the cicadas scream through the heat. The world felt dry, baked, and quiet. Until it wasn't. Engines. 5 of them. Coming in hot from the west. The thunder of choppers broke the silence like a drum line in a funeral home. Big men on bigger bikes. Leather, denim, sunburns and skull rings. They didn't park so much as they conquered the lot, taking up space not because they needed it, but because they could. Elijah didn't flinch. He just watched, shaded under the brim of his cap. One of the men, a tall, red-bearded tank in mirrored sunglasses, looked too long. Then he laughed. The others followed. The kind of laugh that made it clear this wasn't a pit stop. It was a performance. They strutted into the store like it was a saloon in a bad western. One kicked the door open just to hear it slam. The clerk flinched again. But she said nothing. Did nothing. Elijah kept drinking his water. Redbeard, let's call him Rick, was already posturing. His shoulders rolled like he was prepping for a show. And this show? It had a target. You lost or what? He barked across the lot. Elijah didn't answer. Rick stepped forward. I said, are you lost? Just filling up. On my way back to school. The word school triggered another round of laughter. What kind of school lets in people like you? Elijah stayed quiet. That silence wasn't fear, it was fuel. He'd learned in Okinawa, in barracks and brawls and breathing drills, sometimes the loudest weapon is calm. But Rick didn't read calm well. He saw it as an invitation. The 5 started to fan out, not attacking, not yet, but moving close enough to smell. To squeeze. The youngest of them, barely 30, looked uncertain. His boots didn't stomp like the others. His eyes darted like maybe this wasn't what he signed up for. Rick pointed at Elijah's arm. That real? Or you inked that on for TikTok clout? Did my time, Elijah said evenly. Still do. That changed the tone. But not enough. Not for guys like Rick. Ego was a drug, and he was overdosing. Rick smirked. Marine, huh? Think that makes you special? I didn't say that. You didn't have to. And now they were in his space. Half circle, tight. The sun baking down. The tension wasn't just thick, it was audible. Inside, the clerk clutched her phone like a talisman. Across the lot, a couple in a pickup truck froze mid-bite, staring, waiting. Rick grinned again. Let me guess, you got that black belt too, huh? Elijah didn't answer. That silence. It was sharper than a threat. And then Rick slapped the cap off Elijah's head. A quiet gasp from the clerk. A stillness across the lot. Elijah bent down. Picked up his cap. Dusted it off. You get one, he said. Rick chuckled. What you gonna do, boy? That word. That word was the line. Elijah looked him dead in the eye. I'm not your boy. Rick stepped forward. Pressed a hand to Elijah's chest and shoved hard. Elijah didn't move. That cracked the performance. Just a little. Surprise leaked into Rick's expression like water through worn wood. And then it happened. Fast. A blur of motion. Elijah stepped in, grabbed Rick's arm, twisted it, and slipped behind him, arm across the neck, elbow locked, weight distributed. Rick hit the pavement with a wheeze and a thud before he even knew he was falling. The next biker, a stocky guy with crooked teeth, lunged. Bad choice. Elijah turned, pivoted, swept his legs. Another body hit the ground. The third raised a fist, then froze. You sure? Elijah asked calmly. That was enough. The hand dropped. The fight bled out of him. Back up, Elijah said. All of you. Right now. Rick was still coughing on the ground. The second man groaned beside him, clutching a hip. The others stepped back, not brave anymore. Just embarrassed. Youngblood looked like he wanted to disappear. We didn't mean. I mean, it was just. Go, Elijah said. They helped Rick up. He limped. Not from injury, but from impact. The kind of limp that comes from ego, bruised bone deep. They didn't speak. They just walked. And then, sirens. The bikers hadn't even cleared the lot when the red and blue lights flared across the cracked asphalt, washing the worn Shell station in sudden authority. Their engines were still growling, revving for show, not speed, when the sheriff's patrol SUV rolled in and came to a hard stop by pump number 1. Dust curled up around its tires like smoke. The driver's door opened. Out stepped a tall man with salt and pepper hair, a tan uniform worn like a second skin, and a badge dulled from decades of sun. His hand hovered near his sidearm, not threatening, just reminding everyone that he'd used it before and wouldn't hesitate if necessary. His gaze swept the scene. 5 bikers, 2 bruised, 1 red-faced and limping, all of them now quiet. Elijah, still by his car, arms crossed, not defensive, not retreating. Just, ready. The deputy took a breath like he was trying to smell the truth before anyone could twist it. Everybody freeze right where you are, he said firmly. No one moved. The gas station clerk came out of the store, voice trembling but loud enough to reach him. I called. I wasn't sure if I should, but. You did good, the deputy said, cutting her off gently. Stay right there, ma'am. Rick found his voice, bruised and raspy. He attacked us. We were just minding our business and this guy jumped us. The deputy didn't even blink. All 5 of you were minding your business, and 2 of you just happened to end up on the pavement. Another biker tried to chime in. He snapped. Just went off. I have cameras, the clerk blurted, voice growing steadier. Outside. Inside. They caught everything. Rick's face twitched like the lie he'd rehearsed was starting to rot in his mouth. Elijah stepped forward, still calm. They followed me out. Surrounded me. Shoved me. I warned them, twice. Then he put his hands on me. The deputy turned. You injured? No. I was defending myself. The clerk nodded vigorously. He didn't start it. Didn't even raise his voice. Just then, the man from the pickup finally got out. Nervous. Hesitant. But stepping forward. I saw it too, he said. He stayed calm the whole time. Those guys, they were pushing him, calling him stuff I wouldn't repeat. The deputy turned slowly toward Rick and his crew. You could almost feel the temperature shift, not from the sun, but from the shame. 1 minute they'd been peacocks in leather and noise. Now. Wet matches. The older deputy looked back at Elijah. What's your name? Elijah McCall. That sparked something. A flicker of recognition. You the same McCall who served with Anthony Vasquez? Okinawa. Elijah blinked. Yeah. I was in his unit. That's my cousin. The deputy's mouth twitched, half smile, half something else. He told me stories about you. Said you made him look lazy. Elijah gave a small grin. But the moment passed quickly. The deputy turned to Rick, tone ice now. I ought to take all of you in for public intoxication. Harassment. Maybe assault. You got lucky. You picked the wrong one. Rick opened his mouth to argue, but his youngest buddy grabbed his arm. Rick. Let's just go. The deputy pointed. Get on your bikes. If I see you again today, I won't be this generous. The men helped Rick back to his Harley. He swore under his breath, but even that had lost its sting. They rode out of that station slower than they came in, no swagger, no laughter. Just 5 men trying to disappear. As the last engine disappeared into the horizon, the sirens faded too, but the feeling lingered like heat off the pavement. The deputy's SUV remained parked diagonally across the lot, making a statement without saying a word. Another patrol vehicle pulled in moments later, this one driven by a younger deputy. A woman. Crisp uniform. Focused eyes. She stepped out fast and scanned the scene like someone who didn't believe in wasting time. The older deputy waved her over. We're good. Cameras got the story. Witnesses confirm it. She nodded once. Then turned to Elijah. You McCall? Yeah. She walked up, hand extended. Deputy Lena Graves. Saw your name come through dispatch and recognized it. Elijah looked puzzled. My brother, Luke Graves. Trained with you at Pendleton. Said you tapped him out in 5 seconds during combatives. Elijah finally smiled. Luke. He's still talking about that? Every Thanksgiving, she smirked. Her tone dropped. You handled this the right way. Kept your composure. Elijah's face went flat again. I've had practice. She glanced back at the store. The clerks got it all on tape. It'd be good if you came down and gave a statement this week. But with this much evidence and these witnesses, you're not the one in trouble. The older deputy joined her. You stayed in control. That's not easy. I didn't want to fight. Yeah, he said. But you knew how to end one. From the edge of the lot, the couple in the pickup finally got out. The man walked over, rubbing the back of his neck. I should have stepped in sooner, he stammered. I just didn't know. Elijah didn't reply. He didn't have to. The man kept talking. You handled it better than I would have. Just wanted to say. I respect that. Elijah gave a slow nod. That was enough. The clerk emerged too, arms crossed, trying to hide her nerves. I'm sorry, she said. I should have called sooner. I didn't want to escalate. You didn't make it worse, Elijah told her. They did that themselves. Deputy Graves added, we'll process the footage and file the paperwork. But the guys who started this? They'll vanish. They won't press charges. They know they'd lose. The older deputy chuckled. Cowards usually do. Elijah nodded. Then I'll be heading out. Graves said, take care of yourself. And if you're back in Yuma, drop by the station. Luke's in town next month. He'd love to see you. I'll do that. Elijah got into his car. Closed the door. The tension didn't vanish, but it shifted. It became weight he could carry. A different kind of load. The road ahead was quiet. But not clean. He knew that day wouldn't end here. The road unspooled before him in long, shimmering lines. Elijah's Accord cruised past sun-beaten brush and skeletal cacti, the afternoon slipping into early evening as the desert light mellowed from harsh gold to dusty orange. The adrenaline had left his limbs, but something else lingered beneath his skin, like smoke after a fire. Not rage. Not even fear. Just, weight. Heavy and familiar. 15 minutes out, he spotted a rest stop, concrete bench under an awning, vending machines humming in the shade. No cars. No people. Just silence. He pulled in, parked, and sat down. The bench was warm. The air buzzed faintly with the static hum of insects. Elijah leaned forward, elbows on knees, and stared at the ground between his boots. He pulled out his phone. A text from his mom. You making it back for Labor Day? Grandma wants to make peach cobbler. Another from his unit group chat. GIF of a man falling into a kiddie pool, how Jackson looked trying to clear the wall today. He replied to both. Short, simple. Then he put the phone away. For a long time, he didn't move. Just sat there. Letting the stillness settle. Trying to find clarity in the quiet. He thought about Rick's face when the fight turned. About the crack in that cocky voice. But more than that, he thought about the people who didn't say a word. The clerk. The couple in the truck. The kid with the earbuds by the cooler who disappeared before it began. Good people, probably. At least in theory. But when the moment came, when it counted, none of them did anything. Not until it was safe. Not until it was obvious which way the wind was blowing. He wasn't mad at them. But he wasn't blind. He understood the game. It wasn't just about fists. It was about permission. The kind people give to cruelty when they stay quiet. The kind they cover with excuses afterward. I didn't know. I didn't want to make it worse. I was just trying to stay out of it. Maybe they meant it. Maybe they didn't. Didn't matter. Because what stuck with him wasn't the shove, or even the slur. It was the echo of all those people watching, and doing nothing. That silence hurt more than Rick's hands ever could. By the time Elijah reached the outskirts of Tempe, the sun had dipped behind the mountains. The dorm lot was half empty. Students lounged outside in clumps, laughing, yelling over music, playfully chasing each other like the world had never felt ugly. He parked and sat in the car for a moment, engine ticking. Then he turned it off, grabbed his duffel, and stepped out. The sounds of college life surrounded him. Laughter. Music. Shouts from a pickup basketball game in the distance. They had no idea. Just hours ago, in the same state, he'd been circled like prey. Tested like an animal. Reduced to a skin color and a stereotype. And now, he was walking through a world that moved on like none of it had happened. He didn't expect them to know. But part of him resented how easily they never had to. Inside the building, the AC was cold and clean. His dorm room looked exactly the same, books on the desk, boots by the closet, cot-made bed. But it felt different now. Like walking into a memory that didn't belong to him anymore. He tossed the duffel down and stared at the ceiling. Today wasn't the worst thing he'd lived through. But it was something else. It was a reminder. That even now, even after service, after rank, after discipline and restraint, he was still seen by some people as nothing more than a problem waiting to happen. And that the ones who didn't see him that way, most of them would still watch in silence if someone else did. He breathed out slowly. His shoulders didn't drop. But they adjusted. Because he wasn't done carrying this. Not yet. The next morning, Elijah woke before the alarm. Old habits. The light outside was still gray-blue, the hour where most of the world hadn't decided whether to sleep in or show up. He laced up his boots, splashed water on his face, and went for a run, not to escape, but to sort the noise inside his head. Each footfall echoed the same question. Why did it have to happen at all? But Elijah didn't run from that question. He ran with it. By the time he returned, his breath was steady, heart calm. He showered, dressed, and grabbed his duffel again. Not for class. For the station. Deputy Graves had asked him to come in this week. He figured, why wait? Yuma Sheriff's Office wasn't anything fancy. Sand-colored brick, a single flag out front, a front desk that smelled faintly of printer ink and old coffee. Graves greeted him with a nod and a clipboard. We've got the footage downloaded. You're clear, she said. But a statement still helps. He filled out the form, answered the questions, signed where he needed to. When he finished, she looked over the pages, then back at him. You know, you could have made it worse. I could have, Elijah agreed. A lot of people would have, she added. But you didn't. I had nothing to prove, he said. Just wanted to get home. She nodded. Well, you made an impression. One of those guys, the youngest one, called in this morning. Said he wanted to apologize. Said he thought about what happened all night. Elijah didn't smile. Not quite. But something shifted. Maybe it'll stick, he said. Maybe, she replied. Or maybe next time, someone in the back won't stay silent. He left the station not with relief, but with resolve. That afternoon, Elijah visited his cousin Dion. A junior in high school, Dion always asked him about being a Marine. Always wanted to know how it felt to be strong. To walk into a room and own it. Elijah never talked much about Okinawa or drills or even the incident at the gas station. But this time, he did. Not to brag. To warn. He told Dion about the silence. About how being strong isn't about fighting. It's about knowing when not to. And knowing that sometimes, the hardest part isn't defending yourself, it's staying human when no one else is. Dion listened hard. And when he left, Elijah said something he'd never said before. Don't ever let someone else's fear decide who you are. 2 weeks later, Elijah got an email from the gas station clerk. Subject, footage. The message was short. Hey. Just wanted you to know, I watched the video again. I saw everything I didn't do. I've been thinking about it a lot. Next time, I won't just hold the phone. I'll speak. Thank you for staying calm. You reminded me how power works. That email did more for Elijah than any apology ever could. Because it meant something had changed. Not a lot. But enough. At True Echo, we tell stories that echo beyond the moment, stories where strength is measured not by muscle, but by control. Elijah McCall didn't throw the first punch. He didn't have to. Because he knew that true power isn't what you do when people cheer you on, it's what you do when they don't say a word. And the next time someone watches something like that unfold, maybe they'll remember him. Maybe they'll choose to speak. Because silence can be strength, but only if it leads to action. The power of this story isn't in the fight, it's in the restraint. In the decision to stand tall when others shrink back. Elijah McCall reminds us that control under pressure is louder than violence ever could be. Remember, dignity is not weakness. It's strength in its sharpest form. If this story moved you, share it. If it made you think, comment below. If you believe more people need to hear stories like this, subscribe to True Echo and help us echo the truth, one voice at a time.